engine was built in 1911 and came out through the New South Wales agent for Marshalls, but it was actually sold into Queensland and spent all its working life up in Queensland. Its first job where it was employed was actually on forest in the Benarkin Blackbutt forest, which is northwest of Brisbane, and worked there for quite a few years pulling out logs and things. Then it moved through several different owners over the years. We're not quite sure what the owners were doing with it, but the last known work for it was actually using it to drive an irrigation pump. So it wasn't being driven as such, so I'm gathering by then the engine was getting pretty worn, so they were just using it for belt work to drive this pump to take the water up for irrigation purposes. Then sat around for quite some years, and the owners then loaned it to the Gayndah Museum for a period of time. It was then sold to a person who was actually a club member, and he was living at Bundaberg then. He was also instructing at the Bundaberg TAFE, and as part of a deal he struck with the TAFE was that he would supply the materials or pay for the cost of the materials, and it would be taken on as a project for the apprentices to do the restoration of it. And it was through the club that we found it was for sale, and we bought it from him and went to pick it up between Christmas and New Year, approximately 10 years ago. When we first got it back here, we actually took it straight to Science Works, where we had one of our other engines. And in our first steaming we had encountered a few little problems, but there was one quite significant problem, and we'd pulled it just outside the main shed at Science Works there, and when I went to first go ahead, I pushed the valve gear forward, then opened the throttle, but lo and behold we went backwards. Unfortunately the shed door was open, otherwise I think we might have opened it with the engine. But what it turned out is when they did the valve gear, they didn't quite know how things all fitted back together, and they'd fitted it on backwards to what it should be. The other big problem was the gear noise. Riding on it was so noisy, we decided we had to do something major with the gears. So I had a pair of gears made up for it and put on as a trial just to see that that would improve the problem. It did, and then over the next year or 18 months I went ahead and did all the gears on it, so it's now one of the quietest geared engines in Australia here.